memories in an old wrecking yard. Finding memories in an old wrecking yard. Finding memories in an old.
Welcome to the Wrecking Yard. I'm Jerry Wayne Longmire, and y'all are presumably still y'all. Everybody is welcome here in the Church of Internal Combustion. We just ask that you show up with an open heart. Very pleased. My brother's here today, man. We don't get to see each other as much as we should, considering we only live about 20 minutes apart. But y'all have heard me tell lots of stories about Geoie throughout the course of the podcast, especially if you're a longtime listener from first season. And we're just going to sit here and bullshit and catch up a little bit. We all got a lot going on in our lives, and I'm happy you're here. Do not have any sponsors still this week. We're in talks with a couple people, but no new sponsors yet. But of course, like always, go check out my old sponsors. Motomancer on Etsy. Mr. Blair made these fine Yamaha 750 XS 750 Yamaha piston bookend holders for me. Everyone racers, of course, keep up with their antics, and Pulliam Training Stables. And a special shout out if you're in the East Texas area and you have an RV or a boat or even a vehicle that you need detailed, you should call my cousin Rick. His business a little slow over the winter. He's looking to get picked up. He just had some surgery and he's back at it. And Rick's Express Mobile Detailing. He does RVs. He does it all, man. And I'll put his little information up here on the screen so you guys see that. But if you're in the East Texas area, he's right there in Tyler, Texas, but he goes all over the place. Make sure you give him a call, man. Does good work, and I need him to bring me my Volkswagen, so I need him to make some money. All right, I think that is it. I don't have any sponsors yet. Nope. All right. Hey, Rachel, we had one she's working on, but I don't think it's ready yet. What the hell, Bubba?
What the hell, man?
What's up? First of all, good news. I asked you guys to kind of keep Joey's dad, Mike, Pop, in your prayers and positive thoughts, and you tell him.
Yeah, my dad had open heart surgery yesterday. Went to go see him today. He's doing good. He's looking good. They had him up walking already, and hopefully I've got faith that he'll make it through the next couple of days with flying colors, and come through this okay.
I'm sure he'll be bothering the nurses by Monday.
Oh yeah,
asking for sponge baths and what have you. I'm really surprised that didn't happen like right post surgery. Do I get a sponge bath?
Well, when they got him up to get him to walk, the PT nurse said, he got another thing to drape over his back. He said, "Yeah, we're going to cover your butt." He's like, "Yeah, I don't want to be turning on the nurses."
And that is quintessential micro button. That's pretty awesome, man. You brought that. I'm excited. You brought that. I'm gonna show it off a little bit. When you leave here, we're going to get some video. I want you racking pipes for me. My neighbors don't care. They're Mexican. They can't understand English pipes. They won't even know what it's saying.
They won't even know what it's saying.
They're immigrants. They're sweet people. Really not. Terrible dog owners is what they are.
Terrible dog owners.
So, I think we've convinced them not to get another dog. The other ones kept going away. So. I think we've convinced them not to get any more shitty dogs they don't want to take care of. I'm hoping that's the case this go around. They had one German Shepherd that back when we were just taking. So this place where me and Rachel lived. This house was built by Rachel's great grandfather in 1953. It's a Montgomery Ward's kit house. Like it showed up on a truck, and him and his buddies built this damn thing. And this neighborhood has gone through some changes. I mean, back then it was kind of a nice neighborhood in the 40s, but I mean, in the early 50s, but during the probably like mid to late 70s, 80s, and early 90s, this neighborhood was a really rough place to be. And it's still a little sketch. Not as bad as it was, but it is a little sketch still. And we have had, I forgot why I was telling them that.
Because of the dogs?
Oh, because of the dogs. Yeah. So Rachel's grandma lived here up until she was 92, 91. And we took care of her after Rachel's dad died, and Rachel's uncle Jerry, who lived here, who's the patron spirit of this garage, Jerry Carr. Gerald, my kids called him Great Jerry, which he thought was fantastic. He's that type of dude. But after Jerry passed, me and Rachel pretty much took care of grandma for, I don't know, another 12 years or however long. Jerry passed 2016 and grandma passed a little bit after the pandemic, or like kind of towards the end.
It's like 21 or 22.
Yeah, November. I think it was November 21, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been 22. And but grandma lived here by herself for a long time, and she was a whole ass handful. Grandma, they had a German Shepherd next door that they didn't keep in their yard or nothing like that, and it straight come over here one day, and grandma was trying to go out and check the mail, and come snarling and chased her, and she hurried. She's little, she's quick. She hurried her butt back up in the house, and she got hot about it. She went and got a can of wash spray. And went back out there. That dog was on her porch snarling. Grandma just fed him a can of wash spray, mouth first. Just, I said, did you get him pretty good? She said, I hosed him down, Joe. I hosed him down, JW. She always called me JW. I hosed him down. And she was a hoot, man. But that dog, for a long time after that, all you have to do, that dog come over here snarling, acting stupid, you just shake a rattle can, and that dog, shoo, gone, brother. He won't no more part of that bullshit.
That'll learn you.
Yeah, she cooked it. She cooked him pretty good. But that dog, animal control ended up picking up, and they've had a couple since then. But all of them bad attitudes, and problematic animals.
Yeah, we don't really have a dog problem in our neighborhood so much as a cat problem. I mean, well, the cats aren't really a problem because there's a lady in the neighborhood that pretty much if there's a new stray, she'll trap it and take it to the vet, get it neutered, spayed, whatever, and then release it back out there. And she feeds them and takes care of them and all that kind of stuff. So,
That's pretty good. I give food to the strays around here. I like them. I like them. But, I told you all a whole story about how I became friends with cats because of Boo Kitty. But that Joey knew Boo Kitty for sure.
Oh yeah.
Joey heard me scream at Boo Kitty several times. Yeah, that cat were not friends for a long time. But these cats come around here, and we give them a little food and stuff. I don't get too involved in their romances and what have you.
Try not to.
And I try not to get too attached to them, because they just, they don't live very long lives here on these hard streets,
Yeah.
These are H-Town kitties. They got to do what they can. Poor Felix. I knew Felix when I first started remodeling this house. Before me and Rachel moved into it in, I think, 22. Her brother had lived here for like a year and had never cut the yard or anything, so everything was just over. It was like a jungle out here.
Yeah.
And Grandma, her lawn guy wasn't doing a very good job for her in those final years. And he had just let things really get out of control and stuff. But she was only paying him $50 to do this huge piece of property. So, you know what I mean? That's not why I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy because he tried to screw her over a Cadillac. But yeah, that pissed me off. But that little Felix cat, I was mowing, and there's a bunch of ferns on that end of the house over yonder. Mm-hmm. And I was mowing around that thing, and those ferns were real high, and this little stripy gray tabby cat, just everything about him looked tomcat. He was little. He was about that big, just a little ball, and he jumped out of the bushes at me like in tiger mode, like. And I was like, me and the lawnmower, and I was like, bro, this John Deere's gonna jack you up. Like, you're not gonna win against this. And he skidded off somewhere, and then while I was remodeling the house, Rachel got me some cat food to bring over here, and the little tuna packets or whatever. And so if I saw him, I'd put a little food out for him, and he'd hang around the garage stuff. But he started bringing me dead snakes, and then I was like, "You're my best friend, new kitty." Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't like snakes, and there was a mess of them here when I first. I was so proud yesterday. Me and Chicken cut a bunch of limbs, and we did leaves. All the leaves from the big oak trees fell finally.
Yeah.
So we did all the leaves and everything, all that crap, and they were pretty piled up over there on the fence. That's usually where I find them snakes because neighbors don't keep their property. It looks like a jungle. There's a Mitsubishi over there, an Eclipse in those trees right next to your truck that you can't even see.
I couldn't see anything over there.
There's a freaking Mitsubishi or a couple of washing machines, a refrigerator, a basketball. There's a mess of shit over there.
Nice.
You can't even see it. And that garage building of theirs is like starting to collapse. It's all rotted from the back and everything, and it's starting to collapse. And usually that's where I see snakes. Is we're all up on this wall of the garage. I found a couple in the garage when I first started remodeling and run them out, and then all down that wall of the garage. If you go, there's like a little strip over there where I keep my ladders.
Yeah.
And usually, well, I was finding a bunch of them over there coming from that property, and boy, Felix started bringing me dead snakes. And I was like, all right. And they weren't all venomous, but as far as I'm concerned, every one of them's a rattle-headed copper moccasin. I don't think that's my feeling on snakes. Sorry, I'm not a snake guy. You know, I know
It's a danger noodle.
I know some of them are good. I felt bad. I killed a big old, about a 4.5 foot rat snake. But he surprised me, and one of the cats alerted me. One of the cats started fighting with him, and I was like, "Oh crap!" And I killed him. And I was like, "Oh crap!" I was a rat snake. You know,
that's the one you don't want to kill.
Yeah. But he's a little big for my taste. You know, just be hanging out. You know, but I felt bad about that one. I might could have relocated him or called my good buddy Tim Moss to come get him and haul him off somewhere. But but several copperheads. Felix brought me several copperhead snakes, and I was like, all right, buddy, you keep getting tuna. You're my guy. But by the time Felix, we think he got hit by a car finally, but he was like a warrior cat, dude. This cat would come in at all hours of the night, new blood marks on him. He was fighting with the dogs. There's a big old mean orange cat he was fist fighting with and chasing up trees. And he was fighting. Felix didn't back down from no fights. He was just dumb enough to take them all on. Now, I suspect he took one on with Automotive and lost. But cats are tough about that because I was coming back from the gym. So my gym that I've been going to lately is up off East Mount Houston. So I got to get on 59, hop down there. And I was on the feeder of 59, and this black and white tomcat, he had a big old tomcat face, run out across the feeder, got hit by a Ford Expedition. He flipped over about 50 times under that truck, bounced up on his feet, and took off down the highway. I was like, all right, bro. You know, I don't know.
Like a champ.
Eternal injuries or a subdural hematoma got him later, but he escaped for the minute, you know. I was like, all right, bro. That's good. That's better than what I'd have done if that Ford Expedition hit me.
Yeah, it'd still be laying there.
Yeah, so we suspect Felix got eventually. And then whatever got him had to be a lot stronger than he was, you know.
Yeah.
In fact, these little strays that are hanging around right now, we're pretty sure those are his offspring because he mated with a little black and white cat, and every one of them looks just like him or her, you know, except for the little total white one. But she definitely is shaped and built like that mama cat that was hanging around.
I got you.
But yeah, we got stray dogs. Stray dogs, occasional crackhead. We had last night. We have a lot of drunk boomer age Latinos in this neighborhood, and my cousin I told you asked me yesterday, how come you don't ride your bike in the neighborhood? Like there's too many drunk Latinos riding around this neighborhood, ride a bike in. That's not good. And literally last night, Rachel, I told y'all last week we witnessed on the Ring camera what we thought was a failed drive-by, and then last night me and Rachel were sitting on the bed watching TV and hear a bunch of clanging and clattering around. There's a 10th gen 4-wheel drive Ford with a ladder rack on it and extension ladders, and he hit every mailbox on the other side of the road that he could till he got to the neighbor catty corner from us and hit their brick mailbox and got his truck stuck on that mailbox. And then he wandered around the street drunk for a little while until somebody caught him. Not the cops, because they don't come here after dark. But they did. Then we saw him over there today trying to get it running, and they finally towed it off. And I was like, bro, that's not a good. Would have been a good commercial for Ford.
You know.
A little brick mailbox took that truck out. It was done. He was down for the count, bro. from.
Built Ford tough.
Yeah,
not so much.
he had already jumped it through a couple ditches though, so I don't know, but and then the neighbor across the street, he's old Ben. He's like an old retired cholo, like straight up from L.A. He's hilarious, so he's got good stories. Reminds me of Big Mike a little bit, old Big Mike Vargas. He still wears his Dickies.
Nice.
He's still and he like when it's like hot, he's got his button-up shirt and it's always buttoned the top 2 buttons. He's over there with his belly out. He's like 70. Drives like a '88 black Cadillac 4-door DeVille.
Nice.
And it's got various paint color. It reminds me of Big Bike because it's got all the different paint colors on it from it and shit. I keep trying to talk about that old Cadillac. He don't want to give it up. What's up, baby? Old Mary Mar. Oh, that's Sebastian. That's Sebastian right there. He might come in and hang out with us. He's very friendly.
All right.
I was sitting here recording one night, and Mary Margaret walked in. Is when they cut that field down behind us.
Yeah.
And we were having rats like crazy. I got that Gammo pellet gun. It's like 1,450 feet per second. And I sat out here with a bottle of Evan Williams and shot rats all night, and it was a lot of fun. I was looking forward to doing it the second night, and then no rats came. And then my buddy Tim Monstone, he said, well, when you kill a rat, they release an enzyme or a hormone or something that tells other rats, hey, don't come here, danger, danger.
Yeah, danger.
I was like, damn it, I should pick their carcasses up sooner instead of waiting until the morning to pick up their carcasses. I could have had some more fun for a couple nights. But old Mary Margaret, she jumped off in there and caught a big-ass rat over in that great big pile of garage sale shit over there that I'm holding on to for no reason at all.
Yeah, we all got that.
Mine might be going soon. I have a plan.
Oh, okay.
And the plan doesn't involve me doing a garage sale, and I like the shit out of that plan. In fact, the plan.
It involves a truck mysteriously coming over here.
Boy, that old Lightning looks good, man. I'm glad you brought it.
Yeah.
Take some video of it.
Well, I was going to bring the A3, and the other day I was coming back from Chick-fil-A, and I shifted. I got out of the parking lot, and I was driving down the road. I shifted to second, and it jerked on me like this. I was like, what's going on? So I shifted to third, and I got the RPMs up, and as soon as it got a little over 2,000 RPM, what the hell's going on? So I got through the gears, and it didn't do it anymore. And driving down the road, I got to a stoplight, and light turned green. Went through the gears again, got to second. Sure enough, over 2,000, started jerking. And I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on with this damn thing. And it just started this. So I got home, and I looked on the dash, and it had an EPC symbol on the dash. And I was like, what the hell is that? So I looked it up online, and it said something about, was it the engine protection computer or something like that? But it listed, like it could be the ignition coils, it could be the engine speed sensor, it could be the mass airflow sensor. It had a whole list of things.
So everything electrical on the engine could be the problem.
Yeah, anything electrical that has.
Audi sounds a little like the Cadillac. I always tell people the Cadillac's got engine lights for other engine lights.
Well, yeah,
Cadillac gives you a code, and you go look that code up, and then it tells you, it goes, is it coupled with these codes? And so you pull all the codes, you're like, okay, it's coupled all these codes. Okay, well, it could definitely be something in this area. And then it's like it could be ABS wheel speed sensors, it could be a wheel bearing, it could be transmission, it could be like, so you pretty much narrowed it. I mean, for a while they had OBS too, where it narrowed some shit down. You know what I mean? You just be able to plug a scanner in and go, okay, I got a bad oxygen sensor, I got such and such, But now you need a $20,000 shop scanner to read through all the subcodes to figure out what we're really talking about here. It drives me crazy.
Well, luckily, I hooked my scanner up to it just to see if it was popping any codes. So I read the codes, and it said it didn't have any codes on it. I was like, okay, that's weird. And then I changed the program, and what was it? It was like pre-codes or something like that. And I said, okay, scan this, and it read it, and then it said P0321. And it's the engine speed sensor. No. That's bad. I was like, oh, well, that should be easy to fix, right? No, it's down on the bottom of the damn engine. But a lot of people say, well, just disconnect the connection and clean it up and then connect it back up, And I was like, yeah, if you could get to it.
What's up, buddy? What's going on, bub? He's very vocal.
Hey, bud.
He's got kind of a weird voice too. He's got a little tremolo too.
Yeah.
Sometimes when he's meowing and running across the yard, he sounds like a wounded dolphin. It's the funniest thing. That makes me laugh. What's up, Bubba? Bubba Bean?
Kitty.
He's just looking around. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I was gonna bring the A3, but then that happened, and I decided the truck's been sitting for a while. I needed to drive it anyway.
The A3 is that a sedan?
Yes, it's a sedan, but it's actually a wagon.
Oh, okay. So that's the one I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah,
That's the one you
no.
bought a little while back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, I bought it so I could fix the truck up.
You bought an Audi to drive daily so you could fix it.
It doesn't have to make sense.
While I'm building the Volkswagen, I'm going to buy a Mercedes for my daily to make sure I can go get parts for the Volkswagen.
I'm going to buy a Yugo.
Does anybody have a Renault? Are there Renaults for sale around there, or Citroen?
Well, I've heard Fiats are pretty good.
God, those new ones are just hell on people, man. I've been seeing some of the repair bills on those little Fiat 500s.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, everything's getting that way with transmissions anyways,
Oh,
Transmission. I remember when I was selling transmission jobs at the transmission shop for David, and I remember one of the most expensive jobs I ever sold was like $3,800, and it was a BMW X5. And what they'd done, because it was all-wheel drive, is they had messed up a tire, and so they ran it too long on the spare, and it jacked the transmission up, just because it was screwing everything up with the differentials and what have you. And I thought, good Lord, I wouldn't spend no $3,600 on no transmission. I'd just get rid of that damn car, that'd be the end of it.
Yeah.
And I remember David said the slickest line I ever heard anybody say to a customer. It made me laugh so hard because David swayed him. Because the guy was like, well, what would you charge me if I went and got a used transmission to put in it? David goes, you already got a used transmission. Woo, Bubba.
Sick burn.
Yeah, hell, you ain't gonna come back from that one. Not in this shop, bro. You might as well just get your credit card out. Let's get to work on this Beamer.
That's great.
But those jobs down 5, 6, 7. I had a buddy other day with an F-250, and he's looking at like 10 grand. For that damn 10-speed. I'm like, my God, bro. Y'all the price of yourself. Everybody wants to bitch about EVs, but the internal combustion cars are pricing themselves out of the market as fast as they can. It's so stupid. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Well, just keep adding stuff onto it that's unnecessary a lot of times, I feel.
I didn't like the little vehicle at first. It's grown on me. But when Ford put that little Maverick pickup thing out, it was a great idea because they're selling them for like 20 grand. And that's a perfect little vehicle for 20 grand. It's a little ute, basically an Australian ute for 20 grand.
Yeah.
That do what most people need out of anything. And then the demand for them was so high. Next year, Ford held a bunch of the models back, and then next year jacked the price up nearly 40, 50 grand. They're like, now they're like not selling like they were. And they're like, we don't know what happened. Like, I do. You priced yourself out of the market that you built that car for,
Well, it was the same thing with the Lightning too. I mean, there was so much anticipation for them to come out, and then, they jacked the prices up on them, and then they did it. Now everybody backed out, and now they're trying to sell them, and they're dropping the price. They're like, please come get these things.
Yeah, that's the all electric one too. That Platinum Lightning. Yeah. And that I really think that was kind of like, look, if you the Mustang and the Lightning pissed me off. I'm not anti-EV cars. I think EV cars are great for what they're intended for. Yeah. Good little city get around commuter cars. The Prius has been outstanding in that category. Nissan had one, I can't remember what it was called, but it was doing really well too. The little Chevy Volts, fairly reliable. They were doing pretty decent for little city cars, but making your number one production, your most anticipated performance truck, all electric, was just, I think it was just a slap in the face to the consumer. And then you wanted 150 grand for it.
That was the kicker. Was the price tag?
Like, that was a house in 1994. Are you kidding me? We've lived in a lot of $150,000 houses. So like, man, alive.
Yeah.
I could buy and sell this property cheaper than I could buy a Ford Lightning right now. It's ridiculous, And people were so excited about the return. And then they did that. And then that Mustang
Mach-E.
Like, don't reuse the nameplate. Keep the Mustang the Mustang. Call that thing the Grasshopper or whatever the shit you want to call it. I'm not against making it. Make your little station wagon Grasshopper sports car or whatever the shit, but call it something else. Don't call it the Mustang. I will never forgive Idris Elba for doing those commercials. I was a true blue fan of Idris Elba until he did those Ford commercials for that electric Mustang. I'm like, bro, you lost me, man.
Yeah.
I was rooting for you to be the next James Bond, and you lost me. Now I want you to be the villain.
Like SpongeBob.
The hell with you. I want you to be the new Jaws. Get you a grill. You can be the new Jaws. That's what I want to see out of Idris Elba now, because he pissed me off with that one.
I mean, I like all kinds of cars. I love electric cars. I love the idea of a hydrogen car. It's just it's not practical, right? Yeah. There's no facilities for it. The tanks it takes in order to to have it is ridiculous. Like the Toyota? I can't remember the name of it, but they have one hydrogen car that's hydrogen fuel cell.
Right? Yeah. I think Mercedes got one too.
Yeah. Well, and BMW puts out they have a hydrogen. It's a hydrogen engine, internal combustion engine. But they have to liquefy the hydrogen, and they have to keep it in a tank. They have to keep it cryo-cooled, and they have to have vents for it. So when it leaks out, because it's going to leak out when it expands, otherwise it'll accumulate, and you don't want to keep it in your garage because it gets a little splody.
A little bit.
So
that's the Japanese about that one.
Yeah.
Hydrogen is no good. Did you see? I don't get too political, but with all these DEI strip downs of the government stuff that they stripped out, they basically just went searching through government records for anything that said gay and started stripping it out of the government records. And they removed the Enola Gay, the bomber that carried the hydrogen, and its pilot, Sergeant Tony Gay. They took him out too. I'm like, you guys this is getting stupid now, I mean, we're full blown idiocracy. We've been in there a long time, but my God.
Yeah, talk about erasing history.
Yeah, I was just like, bro, weren't y'all crying about Civil War statues like 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Just screw this guy that,
Yeah.
It's been, don't get me wrong, I think it's a black mark on our record for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Hiroshima, not our finest moment, but I don't think erasing it out of the files is going to do anybody good.
Well, it served the purpose that it was intended to do, but I mean, at the same time,
I don't think anybody in Japan's forgot about it.
No,
they what I mean?
They absolutely have not.
Yeah. What year is your Lightning? Is it 2000 or 01?
01.
01.
Yeah. So I had to do something I really didn't want to do. If you look up at the very top of the roof, you can see some little white spots.
Yeah.
On there. So that plastic piece over the back window, it has a dust gasket behind it.
Yeah.
On one side, it's not in bad shape. On the other side, not so great. It's kind of crumbling and fell back down behind it. Well, when you get the truck over 60 miles an hour or somewhere in there, all you hear is that thing vibrating in the back. Just like you're screaming down the road, and that's all you hear. So
I had a Honda Accord with a plywood window one time. It's kind of the same thing.
Well, my genius idea was, okay, well, I had a can of that great stuff in the back, and I was like, well, I'm just going to fill this up with foam. So that's what that is.
You just ain't trimmed it yet. Once you trim it, it'll be ready for the show.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw that little paint mess up on the hood. I made a joke of one of the truck astrologies that, it's another 10th gen that's outrunning its paint. It seems like every one of them paint starts going up.
Yeah,
That's clean. I love that lightning. I always tell people that I don't like anything with a step side or a flare side on it past about 1965, 1964. I just think it looks stupid. I thought the early 90s Fords with the flare sides just look absolutely ridiculous. I think when they got a step side on a square body Chevrolet truck, it just looks stupid. It looks like Mike Tyson in pantyhose. It just looks stupid as shit. It looks like this feminine build on the back of this big square blocky. It just looks really weird to me. And you don't mix curves with straight. You know what I mean? Like if you got a curvy vehicle, great, got a curvy vehicle. So one of my few exceptions to that are the second gen Lightnings with the flare side bed, because it just looks right on that damn truck and it makes it look mean as shit. Yeah. And I like the little Red Express, the little Dodge. They built like 78, because I think that cab had enough, and the Dodge grill very curvy. It had the curves to accentuate and make that work with that bed.
Yeah. Well, and if you've seen the fleet side pickups with the single cabs like that, they just like in that generation weird. They don't work.
Yeah, they look weird. It looks like got a fat ass on it.
So that works. I mean, that's the only step side that really works. I mean, and I think that it was just the design for it. Now, like the non SVT F-150s look a little funky, and I think it's because they don't have the skirting around the bottom, and it's not low enough, so it just looks all jacked up and
looks a little weird.
It's kind of goofy. Yeah.
So what all? I know you've had to do a lot to it. How long have you had it? You had that thing about 15 years now, right?
So I bought it in, what was it? It was 2013, 2014? No. Yeah, 2014.
I was thinking it was right around the time me and Rachel bought that house.
It was it was also right around the time that I went from Weatherford to Denbury, and because I had the A5, and I got rid of the A5 because
that little car was fun. I liked the shit out of that A5. It sounded like a race car. That was a fun little car. That night we were riding around in Galveston. That son of a bitch.
That was the S4.
Was that the S4? Yeah,
that was the S4.
I liked the shit out of that S4.
That was a fun car too.
That was a mean little machine.
I should have kept that damn thing. I'd kick myself and selling it, but whatever. But anyway, so I've had it for since 2014, so 11 years.
Excuse me, ran out of my damn allergy medication. The trees are nutting all over me.
Oh yeah.
Getting tree sperm left and right. Oak tree out here. Yeah. Oak tree bukkake in my driveway right now. I told you I was going to. Yeah, I was going to go to the gym and come out. I did all the yard work, everything yesterday. I was going to go to the gym. I was going to come home and I was going to detail the Cadillac, detail the Mazda, and just the driveway was all spick and span. I walked out the house this morning, literally after I cleaned up all those leaves and shit. Yesterday, that oak tree just nutted all up and down my whole driveway. It's just everything's coated and falling. And this oak tree over here, its leaves are yellow right now, so I know it's about to spurt too. So he's at the edge. He's edging. That tree's edging. He's holding out so he can really be noticed when he lets go.
So you might want to wait on cleaning the vehicles.
Yeah. My buddy Ricky, my cousin, goes, you need it's called a California duster. He sends me a picture of this long brush looking thing with these floppy things on it. And he's like, you got to have it. You got a black car, just dust it off and everything. So I use a Texas duster, and that's a 8 horsepower blower. Yeah, works pretty good. And just go to hell on it. 230 mile an hour wind does a good job on pollen.
Yeah.
So what have you? I know you've gone through a lot on that truck because you went through the whole top end, right?
Yeah. So I
know a guy had it before. He ran it pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, shift kit in it when you got it.
Actually, no. It had a shift kit in it when the guy bought it, but then he had the transmission replaced. Excuse me, choking. I'm almost bit. So it was a brand new. It was like 3 years old when the transmission was 3 years old when I got it, and so right after I got it, the AC went out, so I had to have the entire AC fixed, replaced. Then when we went over to your house in Willis, the rear end went out, so I had to have that replaced. Um, then let's see, the coils. The coils are notorious for going out on the thing.
Ford coil packs.
So I bought the replacement, like the higher end pack, so hopefully they won't go out so easily.
I thought you had to have some valve work and stuff done on it.
The valve covers were leaking, so I had those replaced. But also the intake was leaking as well, so they had to replace all the gaskets on the intake, and they had to replace the fan clutch, belts, stuff like that. So I mean, it's just been this is stuff that wears out over time.
Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking you had to replace the supercharger at some point.
Well, no, they had to take the supercharger off in order to do all the intake work. But well, the guy, so the guy that I take it to, he's awesome. I mean,
I know you've been doing work for him for a long time.
He's done a ton of work on that truck. But he was in Kosovo when I took it in there to have the top end taken off. And the guy called me. He says, "Do you want me to do this?" I'm not too familiar with how all this works. I was like, "Give it a shot, man. What's the worst that can happen?" And he did it. He said, "I'm just going to take my time, do it right." I was like, "I don't need the truck right now, so just do what you need to do and do it right." And he did. So I was like, and I'm happy with it. And it's been trucking along, literally.
I remember you were talking for a while about selling it, and I was like, seriously thinking about drumming up the money and trying to buy it, because it's one of the few performance. One of the things I really like about it as far as a performance pickup is I've had a handful, and God knows I've been in a bunch of them, but that one, you put that pedal down and there ain't a bunch of squalling tires. It just goes, bro. It just puts you in the seat and goes.
If it hooks up, it'll light it up.
Yeah, that little machine runs, man. Yeah. That's why that damn Blazer you had was with that 383 stroker, man. I remember I used to laugh. Y'all watched the podcast for a while. I did a whole episode about that Blazer, but was it 84?
84.
It was 2-wheel drive, right?
It was 4-wheel drive.
Was it 4-wheel drive?
It was 4-wheel drive, yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking that one was a 2-wheel drive.
Well, we never really had a cause to put it in 4-wheel drive, except for when we were on the beach, and that was stupid.
Man, I joke about that. I had that little 4-wheel drive Z71. That thing would get through anything. But other than that, I have by and large not give a shit about 4-wheel drive most of my life.
Well, me too. And like when I bought the Toyota, I was thinking about getting a 4-wheel drive, but then I was thinking about it. I was like, why? Why am I gonna spend another $10,000 on a 4-wheel drive truck that I'm not going to use the 4-wheel drive on?
Yeah.
Where am I going that I need 4-wheel drive?
Yeah.
I'm not going to the mountains.
Z71, it wasn't so bad because I was doing all the properties up in Montgomery. I was out in the sticks and shit, and rains all the time. So
yeah.
That little thing did pretty good, but I had 4-wheel drive on that 77 Suburban I had, and all that shit did was dig a hole to put for a casket. That thing was you just did. I could get through so much crap in that 77 Suburban. I mean, it had a little bit of a lift on it, and it had some 31s on it. It wasn't crazy, but 2-wheel drive, that Suburban would get through anything, man. It's long wheelbase, so it was hard to get stuck, unless you high-sided it. I'm not an idiot, so I was pretty good about not doing that. But the 2 or 3 times I decided, let's put it 4-wheel drive, have some fun. Shit. Up to the axles, it just dig a hole, dude. That thing was useless.
That was the same thing with the Blazer. The only time I put it in 4-wheel drive was we were on the beach one day. And you have to get out and lock the hubs and all that kind of bullshit. And so anyway, I got in, got out, locked the hubs, got back in, stomped on it, just dug 4 holes.
Yeah.
Just like squatted down. I was like, well, that was useless.
Do you remember Wade had that 3/4 ton Blazer?
Yeah.
It's the same Blazer as yours, but it's the 3/4.
Well, his was a 73, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was older. No, it wasn't that old, was it?
It was 70. It was 70 something. I can't remember, but it was older than mine.
Okay.
Yeah, because it
was round headlights. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it was like 77 probably or 78.
Yeah, he had the different hood and all that kind of shit.
Well, our buddy Wade in high school, he was so excited. He got this you never met a kid that wanted to be Hank Jr. worse than anybody ever in your life. Wade wanted to be a cowboy, country boy, and he lived in Houston, but he loved country music and he wore belt buckles and he bought this he bought that 3/4 ton Blazer from the shop teacher. That was the shop teacher, Bert and Ernie. Remember the shop teachers,
yeah.
Bert and Ernie, that ran the auto class? Yeah. I can't remember what their actual names were.
Mr. Williams was one of them. Oh, they were both Mr. Williams.
They were both Mr. Williams. We all called them, but one of them looked like Bert and Ernie. One of them was short and had kind of a flat head and he had a ponytail, and the other one was tall and had kind of boofy hair up top and the mustache. They look like Bert and Ernie.
I was in his class too.
They bought that. I remember my dad was so pissed at that shop teacher because Wade bought that truck from him and it was running like shit. And that shop teacher would give a whole class on how to rebuild the quadrijet, right, in the class. And that's when they built the carburetor for that truck that Wade ended up buying from him. And Wade drives it over my mom and dad's house one Saturday morning. And he's like, Mr. Longmire, I can't, Mr. Jerry, I can't get this truck. It's not running right. And my dad's like, I'm going to teach you boys how to build a quadrijet one time. One time. I'm going to show y'all how to do this. And my dad, of course, take the carburetor off, take off the shop. He opens up. There's a dead roach in the bowl. The carburetor, they didn't clean that carburetor out for shit. It still had lead deposits in it. My dad was in there with a Dremel tool, went through that carburetor, cleaned up, ran like a champ after that. And I've rebuilt several quadrijets since then, and I've always had good luck because he took me and Wade to school that day and showed us how to really go through a quadrijet. And I hear people all the time now complain about quadrijet. I'm like, man, we always had pretty good luck with it, but maybe because of Dad's special class on how to build a quadrijet.
Well, and that's the thing. Like when I was in shop class, one of the things that they never went through with us was how to rebuild a carburetor.
So I never took any of those shop classes because
well,
I had shop class at home.
I was going to say,
I was tired of shop class. I didn't want to go to shop class anymore.
I don't want to rebuild engines.
My shop class was every Saturday while my friends were off having fun. I was in the garage with Dad getting yelled at for something. Joey knows. He was there for a lot of those yellings.
Yeah. Is there a wrench in there? Yep. Can you hand it to me? Oh, you wanted it.
I thought he's going to come out in front of that Ford. You son of a... If I have to get up... I terrorized my old man. I told y'all something. I was telling them, my dad's such a neat freak. Joey worked for my dad for a long time over at Daniel Val. My dad was a quality manager. He got Joey hired on as the calibration guy. And you pretty much ran the calibration department for him. And
that was it.
My dad, when it comes to being like a neat freak, I am the total opposite. Joey's a pretty neat guy too. It's a miracle we were roommates as long as we were. But my dad, dude, he doesn't like a hair out of place or a wrench out of place. None of that shit. It'll drive him into a fury. And I told him, boy, I used to, when he pissed me off real bad, like yelling at me and shit, working on stuff, I'd go in there and he always clipped his fingernails right after that was his thing. He was about, I'm still that way about my finger. I keep mine clipped down, probably because of him. Mm. He always kept those fingernails clipped down, and he would do it right after he worked on a car. It was just, he'd wash the Dawn dishwashing soap and the little fast orange mix. He had a mixture he liked, a 30-1.
Yeah.
And he would get in there and he'd scrub him hands up, and then he'd clip his fingernails. And so what I used to do, he'd tell me to go get his fingernail kit. I'd take a little anti-seize on a Q-tip and just put a little on those fingernail clippers. And he'd be there clipping his fingernails. Son of a bitch! What is this shit just gets everywhere? I'd be off in my room playing, singing. Like, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Maybe yell at your kid less and anti-seize will stop getting all over the place. I did a good one time. I put just a little dollop right in the Dawn dishwasher liquid bottle, so when he squirted on his hand, squirted seeds of soap. So, what the shit? There's payback. Don't yell at your kids too much.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to yell at mine. Mine are scary to me.
I had to yell at mine earlier today.
Oh no, what did my sweet pea do? Don't be yelling at that baby.
She's starting to. Well, she's starting to talk back to us and say, "No, I don't want to do that." And I'm like, "You're gonna do it. This is how it is."
You want to get punched in the face?
Yeah.
All right, just asking. Your mama's short enough to punch you right in the mouth.
Yeah.
I'm like, duck down. Hell yeah.
No. Well,
Sweet pea. I can't believe she's talking back.
Well, but I told her before I left. I said, "Look, sweetheart, I don't like to yell at you. I don't like to scold you. I don't like to do anything like that. I want you to listen but she said she started crying and she said, I just don't want you to be mad at me. And I'm like, sweetheart, all you have to do is listen to us. And
I'm your dad. I'm supposed to be mad at you. I'm sorry. This is going to continue on into your 30s.
Yeah.
Have you met my dad? I know you have. You know how he likes you, but he doesn't really like me?
Yeah.
That's the same shit.
Oh, she was so sweet. Thursday, when my dad came over, my mom and my dad came over Wednesday night. And that's when he told me they were supposed to do the surgery on Monday, but then the doctor on Thursday called him up and said, "Hey, can you come in and get prepped, and we're going to do it on Friday." So they just like moved it up out of the blue. But Wednesday, they came over to watch Vivian while we went out, and when we came back, that we were talking about what was going on with the surgery and all that kind of stuff. So the next day, Thursday, they told us that, hey, we called in to, and we're going to do the surgery on Friday. And I told Vivian that. And at lunch on Thursday, Vivian started crying. She's like, I just don't want Granddaddy to be sick. It's like, oh, sweet girl. She came inside of my lap. He's going to be fine. He's in good hands.
She loves Granddaddy.
Yeah, she loves her Granddaddy.
He's a lovable guy. I talk a little shit about Mike, but he's lovable as far as guys from South Alabama can be. I'll never forget that time he told me. I said, "Oh shit, Mike's gonna go get his gun." He goes, "Boy, I'm from South Alabama. There's a gun in every room."
True story.
Yeah, he's been a hoot over the years, man. I always remember. I don't remember what the occasion. I think it was his birthday that we took him out that night and got him just lit. We were shooting pool. We went to a Slick Willie's, and he kept trying to get the girl to make him a Saigon sling or some shit
Singapore
like
sling.
Singapore sling. Sorry, good people, Saigon. Wasn't trying to throw that terrible drink. He wanted a Singapore sling, the way they made them back when he was in the Navy in the 60s or the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
And he kept trying to tell this girl how to make this Singapore sling. And he drank about 4 bad Singapore slings before his directions started getting a little heated. And then he was talking shit to me about the way I was playing pool.
Yeah. Finally, we decided it was time to go home.
I believe it was the 3rd racial slur. When I was like, all right, Mike, I really got to go.
I think we're done here.
You're going to get us killed in the Slick Willies. This is still A-Leaf, bro.
And then we took him home.
You're using slurs that only work in A-Leaf. Like, that's wild. All we have is Vietnamese people here, and you somehow have found the ones that only offend them. It's crazy. It's very regional specific slurs. It was like, I remember the first time I watched Romper Stomper, I was like, oh shit, that's where Mike worked. I was like, okay. And I remember we took him to your house and we walked him to the door and he got in the door and your mom's like, what's going on? I was like, oh, he's just done. We're going to go back out. And I know we weren't like 2 minutes down the road. Your mom was calling you. What have y'all done? What?
You got him drunk and dropped him off with me?
She was pissed at us for 2 weeks. I didn't get no Easter bunny cake that year. She was mad at me about that.
Mom was not happy about that whole situation, and rightfully so.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her.
I get it.
I bet if somebody did that to me, Rachel would be hot, boy.
Yeah, I'm sure I've come home plenty lit a couple times, and Sarah's had to deal with me, and vice versa too.
Well, we lived over at Montrose, Allen Parkway in Studmont in the apartments.
Mhm.
I don't know if you ever, you come over a couple times. We were bike riding and stuff. So there's a big old long grassy hill down to the driveway from the parking garage. Long grassy hill, grassy knoll, if you will. Going down to the street level, and everything has to be high there because it floods. And I was going to go do comedy that night at Rudyard's, which was just like a mile away, a little bar, local bar. And I was going to go do comedy with my buddy Will Loden. And so I told Rachel that night, I was like, boy, I'm just gonna, I never really. Usually when I go do shows, I don't really drink a whole lot because I just don't want to be sloppy in front of bookers or venue owners, that kind of shit. You don't want people running around telling everybody in the industry you're drunk. I mean, they all knew I was, but you don't want everybody telling everybody that shit. Like, oh, he was sloppy falling down at the open mic or whatever, So I've always kind of watched my guard, when I'm in those situations. But that night, I was working with Will, and me and Will hadn't hung out in a while, and I was like, you know what, me and Will, we're going to do some drinking tonight. And I was headlining the show at the Rudyard's, and so I took an Uber over to Rudyard's, and the comedy room is upstairs, and it's crazy ass narrow little staircase down it. And I got up there and I started putting down the Jack Daniels and doing some shots. There's a bunch of comics I hadn't seen in a while, so everybody's wanting to do shots. We were all doing shots, and after the show, I didn't get all sloppy before. I was probably about 2 Jack Daniels in when I got on stage, but Will started sport drinking while I was on stage, and he was pretty lit by the time I got off. And they were we did shots and everything, and my favorite bartender was working. I hadn't seen them in a minute, so we did a shot with the bartender. You know how it goes. Everybody wants to do a shot. They ain't seen you in a minute. Well, I was probably about 10 shots and about 7 or 8 Jacks on the rocks in. I was feeling pretty high, pretty good. Yeah. pretty good, In the old days, it would have took a 20 bag to get me home, But this is post all that. I don't mess with that anymore.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Rachel, I told her, I was like, I'm gonna have some drinks with my buddies now. I'm probably gonna be a little lit when I get home. She's like, all right, I'll just drink without you. Wait for you to get here, that kind of thing. And I got down the stairs and I was standing outside with Will smoking a cigarette, and Will was smoking. He said, what are you gonna do? I was like, oh, I think it's time for me to call Uber and go home. And I pulled my phone out and I was just jacking around in the Uber app, and boy, there's some long wait times. And so I was jacking around this Uber, and Will, he's like 6'6", and he's looking over my shoulder the whole time, and he lets me go for a while, a good 10, 15 minutes, screwing with his Uber app, trying to get a ride home. And then he just kind of taps me on the shoulder. He goes, hey, bud, that's Uber Eats. They're not going to take you home.
They'll bring you a car trap, though.
I was like, can't they take me to Jack and Box and then home? And Will goes, I'm going to call you Uber. I'll get you Uber. So he calls me an Uber. Uber picks me up. He drops me off at the bottom of that hill. When I get out of the car, Rachel's waiting for me at the top of the hill, and I start walking up that grassy hill. And I think I got about 3/4 of the way and slipped and stumbled and rolled my ass all the way back down damn hill. She come down there and help me up. I was bleeding and shit. She's like, well, you weren't kidding. You said you was going to go home. I was like, oh, I'm gone. Do I got any whiskey left? Get me to the balcony. Once I'm on the balcony, I'll be safe. Yeah, I come home. I was pretty lit that night. I had come in the house and drunk too many nights. Yeah. There was one night I did a show up in Spring, Texas at this little, I forgot what, it was a terrible situation. Iron Horse Mule or some shit. I don't know. It was a terrible little bar gig they had going for a while.
And I drove up there in the Yukon to do the show, and literally the stage was a piece of plywood on some cinder blocks in front of their slot machines. And they allowed smoking in the bars. It was all smoky, and that was after I'd quit smoking. I couldn't already stand to be around it for a minute. And I don't like doing smoke rooms because my voice fries out on you. 45 minutes of talking through smoke, and your voice start burning up on you.
Yeah.
And it was one of those crowds where nobody had bothered to tell them there was going to be a comedy show, and there was like 35 people spread out through this giant bar, and we kept trying to move them in, so we could do the show for them. And at some point, I just decided to hell with this crowd. I'm just going to go through my material and get paid. You know what I mean? Like at some point, like this is just good practice for saying my jokes out loud in front of people. They're not listening. I think there was a jukebox go. Well, the bartender, while the feature act was on stage, one of their day shift bartenders was an Amazon girl. She was like 6 foot tall white girl, shoulders bigger than mine. She got drunk after she got off her shift, and then she decided to start a fight with one of the other bartenders. And no shit, it took 2 of the bouncers and the owner to get her under control.
Damn.
And get her an Uber to send her home, because apparently she's a good bartender. They want to lose a good bartender.
Yeah.
But she was a hoss, boy. And she did all this while the feature act was on stage. It was Nathaniel Amador, and he handled it quite beautifully and kept it going. But after that, nobody cared about the show. Everybody was busy talking about the bartender, and they brought me on stage. And 15 or 20 minutes in, I'm just like, screw this. I'm not putting any more effort into this. I'm just going to say my jokes.
Yeah.
And that's when I was prepping for the first special, and it has the bit about my mom dying in it.
Yeah.
So I go into that bit, and I do that bit about my mom dying, and all of a sudden I noticed the whole room is quiet as shit. And I got to the punchline hit, and it was the first punchline that had hit the whole show. And I was like, what the hell? And all of a sudden everybody's kind of grouped up over here. And I'm like, what? That's the one joke y'all gave a shit about. And then they start telling me about their buddy, their bar regular that just died. They'd all been to his funeral the day before. And he was a regular at the bar for 15, 20 years, and they were all sad about Noel or whatever the shit his name was. So I was like, well, let's do a toast to Noel. That was my first mistake. I did the toast to Noel, and then they just started sending shots to the stage. And at some point, I don't even know what all this shit, I was just putting them down and finishing my act and closed strong. And I went outside, and Will Loden was on that show too. He's like, you all right? I was like, I'm fine. I'm good, bud. Nah, I'm good. I'm bright as rain. And I got behind the wheel of the Yukon, and I backed out of the parking lot, and I went about 100 feet on the feeder and pulled into a Dollar General and parked the Yukon and called an Uber. I was like, I cannot handle this spaceship right now.
You're on another level.
But I got home. I was like, oh, Rachel's going to be pissed at me. And she's like, no, I'm just glad you got an Uber. And I was like, well, I didn't at first. It took about 120 feet for me to realize I needed an Uber. I was past the point of being able to operate heavy machinery.
Wasn't my first choice.
That's not true. I probably could have operated the shit out of a backhoe, but I couldn't drive a Yukon for a damn thing. I know when I was doing some heavy machinery jobs, my favorite thing in the world, bro, was like, if I was moving dirt all day, especially if I was running a Bobcat or a skid steer, I was going to be moving dirt all day for foundation jobs. Well, take me a couple little joints of work, hit me one right, finish one off before I start in the morning. I'm just bouncing around in the Bobcat, having a good ass day. You know what I mean? Moving dirt. This is my life. This is what I'm here for. Got to move this dirt. I don't even remember why I'm moving anymore, but I know where I got to move it and why, where it goes. And I was just moving dirt, and then it come lunchtime, I'd eat a little lunch and hit that second J. And then by the time quitting time come, I was just cool enough that I could hop in the truck and drive home for the day. But I can operate the shit out of some heavy machinery under the influence. Cars, not so much. I've had bad luck with that. Well, I ain't never had I don't even know. I quit drinking, but knock on wood, I ain't never had no DWI or no DUI, but I come damn close a couple nights.
Me too.
A couple nights when we were roommates, I come close.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Geoie used to go on Saturday, Sunday night, usually, go play the pool tournaments all up and down Highway 6. And There's a couple of them nights I don't remember us getting home. I remember staggering up the stairs to the apartment the next morning, like, "Ooh, what's that mark on my truck?"
Oh, dude, when you started comedy and you were out at the Laugh Stop, and I'd go sit at the bar and drink, and then my bar tab would be like $9.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'd be completely trashed. I'd go home the next morning. I'd wake up and I was like, okay, I'm in my bed. That's good. Look out, cars in the driveway. That's good.
Ah, nothing's on fire. I don't hear a fire alarm. I don't hear a smoke alarm.
Don't see any damage. But
I have all my fingers.
I cheated death too many times and decided, need to give that up.
Yeah, man, we got lucky because not all of our friends did. I know Steve got him a DWI at some point, or a couple of them. He showed up at my house one night. He had that this is like a 2000 Chevrolet, that red. It was beautiful. A 2000 red Chevrolet. Was it half ton?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It wasn't a Z71, but it was a beautiful pickup. He went to a concert downtown, and we didn't want to go. And we were hanging out at the house, all drinks, having a good time. We were playing. That's when Giant Tube Sock was still together. We were playing
the Garage Band or
Rock Band or whatever the shit it was. We were all playing Rock Band and drinking. And Steve calls us, and we couldn't understand what he was saying. He goes, "I think I hit something. I'm in downtown Houston. I'm really lost. I think I hit something." We're like, "Okay, well, just park the truck and, get you a cab, come over here. You can sleep on the couch or whatever." And then like an hour later, he shows up at my house, and the front end of that truck is gone, bro. All there is some yellow paint on the freaking heater on the core support. The bumper's trashed. The front end of the truck was just beat to shit. So you hit something like a train? Like, what did you hit, bro? That's what we eventually figured out. So downtown Houston, on Main Street, where the trolley runs up and down, they put these giant yellow poles up. And we finally figured out that he tried to take a right turn or a left turn on Main Street and smacked into the poles.
Well, and he had no business behind the wheel at that point,
Oh, he drove that truck like that for a long time.
Yeah.
I remember when I was working with him for a little while, we would have to get out because every once in a while his radiator condenser, his AC condenser would fall down in the thing, and the AC would stop working. We had to get out and zip tie it back up. Get the air conditioner to work.
Yeah.
Woo.
I remember those days.
Yeah, we survived them. No DWIs, either one of us. No accidents, either one of us. You flipped my truck in a ditch, but other than that. I'm still sure that you flipped that truck that night.
No. That was you dancing on the cab.
Woo. And that's why Jerry Wayne doesn't drink Bud Ice anymore. That Bud Ice, we had a 30-pack. I did some damage to that 30-pack, and I was ruined.
We slung the rest of it out when we were going out with those bald ass tires on that truck. Things just sliding all over the place.
Well, we did end up in a ditch because we gave somebody some beer to pull us out of the ditch.
Okay, so we were following these girls, and they went one way and we went another, and I was like, "Oh crap, I gotta back up," and I did, and I backed up right over a stop sign.
Yes,
right into the ditch. And these old boys from the party came up. They saw us. They pulled us out of the ditch. They grabbed the stop sign, put it in the back of the truck, and hauled ass.
I remember we were following that one dude on four-wheeler, and he was losing beers. He was on the four-wheeler. Every time he hit a bump, a beer would fly out of his case of his four-wheeler. We're like, "Bro, you're slinging beers for like 4 miles down that dirt road, that four-wheeler." I was not a hit at that party. I remember that night.
No, that was
the night I showed up and pissed off all the coon asses right off there. I got there.
I was like, yeah. As soon as we got there, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be one of those nights."
Yeah, I really thought me and old String B was gonna fight that night. He was very, because I had to ask every backwards country idiot directions how to get out of here, and he goes, "Are we all backwards country idiots?" And I was like, "No, but a lot of you are."
Pretty much.
And then later on, he asked me, I was on the four-wheeler, and he asked me to give him a ride, and he got on the front of the four-wheeler, and I hit the ditch, and he went flying off in the mud and shit. And I thought, boy, how me and him did not end up fist fighting that night. I don't know, because he was sure hot with me.
I have no idea how that worked out. I don't even. I remember I was the least drunk of the two of us,
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
and I managed to get us home. And the next day, he got up, and we were both hurting. And he got up and walked out there. What the hell did you do to my truck, man?
Oh, it was a little Datsun, a little '68 Datsun pickup, and the whole roof of the Datsun was crushed in.
Yeah.
Just completely convex the wrong way. You know?
This was because he was dancing on the roof of his truck. Wasn't because it got rolled.
I was a
It did
dancing
end
man
up in
at
a
one
ditch,
time.
but we made it out.
I remember I laid on my back and kicked that roof back out. And it's going kaboom. Like, all right, well, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
And then we pulled the bumper straight off the tree. Remember, we chained the bumper up the tree. And my
Yeah.
dad was like, that's never going to work. And I backed up to work. And I was like, yeah.
How about that?
Cheap Datsun steel right there, buddy. Sweet gums tree, straighten it out.
Yes, sir. That's all you need in life.
Oh, I don't think Louisiana was good for me at all. I don't have a lot of fond memories of Louisiana. I have a lot of blurry memories of living in Louisiana, and a lot of fighting memories. Boy, a lot of fist fighting in Louisiana. Boy.
Well, I remember you worked at that prison.
And then I worked at the prison. That was a horrible time. Working at that prison was. Whew, that's where I got rid of that little Datsun pickup. It blew a head gasket for about the umpteenth time. And there was an old warden out there that had him a little farm in Mississippi. And he goes, man, what you want for that truck? And I said, man, I ain't worried about it. Blew the head gasket on the way in here. I don't even know what the hell I'm going to do about it. He said, I'll give you $400 for it. I sold him that little pickup for $400. And I hope it's still not running on his farm in Mississippi.
But still not running.
That's the one. It blew the head gasket so many times. My dad went and took he goes, we're going to fix this shit. And we drilled the heads out and we took 18 millimeter case studs out of a Volkswagen, because we always have Volkswagen parts. Those 18 millimeter case studs, and we studded that head, and it still blew the damn head gasket. That's what I was done with it. I was like, if that don't, nothing can fix it. If that don't fix it, the old man can't figure out how to make that thing not blow head gaskets. It's done. I'm done. He was a whiz.
Well, that was one of the things about that particular, well, like the Toyotas and the Nissans, they used this different head gasket material, and it will always deteriorate, usually between the water jackets and the cylinder walls. So, they just blow a head gasket all the time.
Let's go through some of your. So I remember always hearing the story. Your dad had a Toyota truck you were in love with, that you wanted to be your first truck.
Yeah, he had a 80. I think it was an 84.
And then Jennifer killed that truck.
Yeah, she was coming home
That's
from
the
work.
one she killed.
Yeah,
because I blame Jennifer for killing the Trans Am, but that was actually Joe. But you didn't kill it, but hurting it, getting the Trans Am hurt. She ripped the front air dam off of it though on a parking block or something.
Yes,
I know she's the one that did that.
Yeah, the air dam got torn off by Jennifer, but I got hit from behind by Jason Gillen.
Oh, what did they call him? Bullwinkle.
Bullwinkle, yeah. Bullwinkle. And he hit me so hard because I was making a turn. I was driving Panova back to his house from school, and he hit me so hard I hit the curb on the other side. And it messed up that car ever since then. I mean, they put it on a rack. They tried to straighten it out. I mean, they had to shim the hell out of it just to get the wheels to barely align up with the body of the car. It was terrible.
I didn't know any of this when I bought the car. Just found that part out just now.
Yeah. You didn't notice it?
No, that's something drove great. I thought I was Burt Reynolds every time I got behind the wheel of that stuff. I had a black cowboy hat. And good God Almighty, women love that car, boy. I just remember rolling down 1960. Oh my God. That car was a head turning some 50. I love that car, man.
It was a fun car. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed that car. So that was I think that was my first car that I actually had. And then, I
remember you were driving it for a little while, and then he had a little 4-wheel drive Toyota pickup that we would take fishing.
Yeah, so after the other
The
one
Bolivar and shit.
burned up, yeah, he bought that one, and so get this, he sold it to a guy after we had it for several years. He sold it to a guy out on his farm, and the guy said the only reason he stopped driving it was because the cab was rusting away.
Yeah,
But it was
that's what
still run and
happened.
drive.
Those generation Toyotas, the little 22 RE, they were just
Yeah.
pretty daggum unstoppable. Y'all had that neighbor across the street that was he Persian? That he like built all kind of shit. He was always in the cars and stuff. What was that
Well,
dude's name? He was great.
Amir?
Amir.
Amir.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. He's from Iran.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah, I loved it. He always had a little Toyota or Nissan or something over there he was working on jacking with.
When he had that Mustang.
Yeah.
So 60.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 65?
Somewhere in
65
there.
Mustang. Beautiful car.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I remember you were driving that little pickup for a while. You're driving Trans Am, then the wreck happened. And then was that when you got the Blazer?
So yeah.
You didn't have anything before the Blazer?
No.
You had the Blazer. What'd you do with the Blazer? Did you sell the Blazer?
So I had the Blazer, and then
I know it kept killing starters. That was a starter killing something.
it was
that high compression engine.
until I got that high torque starter,
Yeah.
high torque mini starter. That was the only one I could keep on there. But the only problem with it was the Bendix was just kind of out there.
Yeah.
You'd just like throw the Bendix out, and it was kind of on a thin shaft.
And it'd break that Bendix.
It'd break that Bendix off. It took a lot longer, but but it was the only starter that I could get to work on that truck. But I had the Blazer, and I ended up buying the Supra.
Yeah.
And I sold Blazer to Colin.
That's
and
right.
He had it for a while and trashed it.
He blew the engine in the Blazer.
Yeah,
and I was with him when he blew that 380. Those 383 strokers don't have long lives, but it lasted a long time under you. That's the longest life 383 stroker I ever seen in my life until Colin got a hold of it. Colin destroyed that truck. Yeah, I do remember that now.
Yeah, and anyway, so he never would change the title over, which I was like, dude, change the title over, get it in your name, stop leaving it in my name. He never would do that. Finally,
so Colin didn't take care of something. What? What?
What? The hell are you saying?
The hell, I won't tolerate this slander of Colin Fitzgerald any longer.
But anyway, I hounded him enough, and he ended up bringing the truck back. They had to have it towed back to the house, and it was in a sad state.
Yeah, I remember it was just he had just trashed.
And there was a guy that my dad worked with that really loved that truck and wanted that truck, and I ended up selling it to him for $400. I think. Finally, it was, but I mean that poor truck needed a ton of work.
Why is it cops and firefighters' kids are always like Colin and Tom? Like why are they? Why is it always them that are and preachers' kids? It's always them, man. Because Colin's dad was a state trooper. Jim Fisher was a retired state trooper when I went to work for him out at Global Compression.
Yeah.
But I remember I bought that Volkswagen Bug off Tom's dad. I can't remember what his name was. Bob. I bought that Volkswagen off him. He wanted $400 for it. We gave him $400 for it, and we just wanted the case. We wanted the engine case out of it. But back then they were a little harder to come by. Yeah. And we were going to rob some of the other parts off of it for my Super Beetle. And I remember me and my dad got it over there, and the car was just trashed, and it was just there wasn't a lot left on it that was any good. And we robbed the parts we wanted off of it. And then we called him to get the title. He was supposed to give us the title, and then he said, "Well, if I got to find that title for you, it's going to cost you another $300 or $400. I was selling you an untitled." He started, as your dad would say, reneging on the deal and wanting to. And I remember my dad was like, "I ain't giving that man any. I'm not. You're not going to give that man any more money for that car. He can kiss our ass." And then one day, me and Dad took a carborundum blade and we cut that Volkswagen up into about 6 pieces.
with a carburetor blade and a skill saw. And we loaded it in the back of Steve Vargas's truck, and we took it to a junkyard downtown Houston, and they wouldn't take it
Yeah.
because they still wanted a title on it. And so me and Steve were like, the hell with it. We just pulled about 10 feet out of the junkyard parking lot and unloaded it in the street and drove off. And then they hit old Bob, because it apparently was titled in his name. They hit him with a $1,500 cleanup bill on the city of Houston. That man should have just come off that title. So you had that Supra, which was marginally disappointing.
It was fun.
I had just seen Fast and the Furious, and I was expecting something different out of a Supra.
Wow, yeah.
That was the big body Supra. They were, you know.
Yeah, that was a Fortune Supra.
Yeah, that was that big body. I think it was a cool looking car. I think if you had one with a turbo and everything, it might be.
Yeah, I mean, if it was.
It was a good driving car, handling wise. It just was kind of sluggish.
It was a great car. I mean, it was. I had a lot of fun with that car. And then what did I have after the Supra?
The Jetta?
No. Oh, that was when I was living in San Antonio, and I bought
the little Ford Ranger.
The Ford Ranger, yeah.
The unstoppable Ford. That little. When I hear people go on about their Ford Rangers, I always think about yours, because that little blue Ford Ranger, we put that little pickup through some hell. You ran over a cop with it. Did you run into a cop?
No.
I thought you ran into a cop in San Antonio or rolled back into one.
No, I ran into a Honda.
In front of a cop. There was a cop there when you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just got the first oil change off this thing, and I was coming up off one of those clover leaves, and there was a car in front of me, and he started to go, so I started looking back, and I was like, oh, I got room. Revved it up, dumped the clutch, bam!
I always, you know what I remember about that little pickup is we got pulled over on Dairy Ashford one day, or Eldridge. This is back when we were getting our little model planes and going to empty parking garages and flying them and shit. And we got pulled over. It was like an afternoon. You were just going a little bit over the limit. It wasn't bad. You were just speeding a little bit. And the cop pulled you over, and you're like, oh, I was just trying to keep up the flow of traffic. The cop was like, I guess it's just your day in the barrel. And I was like, what does that mean? And then that cop explained to us what your day in the barrel meant. And I was forever changed after that. And I can still picture that cop's face. Oh, yeah, when pirates go out to sea, they didn't have no women. So everybody took a turn in a barrel with a hole in it. And I was like,
catch him a
why are you talking to us about this? We're teenagers, sir. What are you doing? We were in our 20s, but still, it was gross, bro. I guess it's just your day in the barrel. Don't say that. Stop. That shouldn't be a saying. That's the worst saying I've ever heard.
Let that live in the past.
Yeah, some things should have died with the pirates. You know? The story about the barrel. Numero uno, you know, right there. Like,
first one, get rid of that.
What? It's just your day in the barrel. Yeah, that little Ford Ranger. That's the one we took camping with them two gals that time. I can't remember one of them. I can't really remember either one of them's name.
Rhonda. And I can't remember.
Was it Melanie or Michelle
Melanie.
or some shit?
Melanie.
Yeah, the one that had the boyfriend in prison. Didn't slow me down, though.
Hey, you gotta shoot your shot, man.
I shot my shot all weekend. Didn't get anywhere with it, but I shot that shot all weekend. I was shooting shots. Just fired in the air trying to shoot that shot. Didn't get anywhere with it.
I just remember.
Rhonda's like, you know, her boyfriend's in prison. I'm like, well, that means he can't get to me right now.
He's preoccupied.
He's busy. It's his day in the barrel.
I knew that saying to come in handy.
He's doing something with a barrel right now. He can't mess with me.
Oh, man.
Oh, I remember. I just hope we didn't do too much damage to Rhonda's dad's boat trying to unload it off that trailer.
No, I think I did more damage to the clutch on that truck. Trying to pull it out. It was smoking by the time I got that boat out.
Clutch material everywhere on that lot.
Oh man,
that's a day. I'll never forget that. Boy,
took that wide loop. I was on that inner tube back there. I was just having a good ass time. You took that wide loop and it snapped that slack out. And I just remember it just felt like it yanked that tube out from under me. When I hit that water, it felt like concrete. And I come up out of that water. I was pissed. I was ready to just lay into y'all. And y'all were coming back by with the boat. And then my swimsuit floated up beside me because it yanked me right out of my swimsuit. And I was like, y'all stay over there. Hold on. I don't want her to see my dick until she has to see it, you know. We're not the dick pic generation, you know. We prefer that to be a surprise that you find out once the time is upon you.
Yeah.
You just tell people, like, if my generation, if you want to do dick pics, you had to take a Polaroid and just be chasing some girl around the bar waving it. Hold on, hold on, I got something for you.
Before you say anything, check this out. Check this out.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, it's grainy. Okay. Yeah.
Oh man.
That little Ford Ranger was a lot of fun. We had some good times with that little pickup.
Yeah, and then I traded the Ford Ranger for that Jetta.
I killed the transmission on the
That
Jetta.
was a mistake. Well, luckily that was the one time.
Yeah, the warranty kicked in. I was thankful
That was the
too.
one time the warranty.
I didn't have $2,500 by Joey. Just said it drove me crazy. I drove standard transmission too, but we have different styles. And Joey would sit at the red light and hold the clutch in with his foot, or sometimes.
No, I'd put it in neutral. I'd take my foot off the clutch.
Yeah. I thought he had his foot on the clutch. And I thought it'd be hilarious. We were a little hungover. It was early in the morning. We're sitting at the red light. And there wasn't nobody behind us. And I was like, I'll just slip it off in reverse. And when he lets the clutch out, we'll go backwards and we'll have a good laugh, you know?
Yeah, except for the people behind us.
There wasn't nobody behind us. I looked in the rearview mirror. There's nobody there. This is going to be hilarious. Joey's going to laugh about this. Joey didn't laugh about things I thought he was going to. So I just grabbed that thing and I throw it in reverse. What the hell did you do?
Oh no, dude! What happened was you put it in gear and it just like killed the engine, and you were like, "I didn't think it synchronized." I was like, "What the hell were you thinking?"
Thought I was gonna be funny. Sometimes funny don't pay off.
Oh.
I was so glad when Volkswagen's like, yeah, this is under warranty. We're going to fix this for you. I was like, hell yeah, you are. That thing shouldn't have broke that easy no how.
Oh, dude, I was even like, thank God. Because that was my only car.
It was like a $3,000 transmission. So that was the most money we'd ever. This is back in the day when transmissions didn't cost that kind of money.
Yeah.
It's certainly not standard, not manual transmissions. That was an automatic transmission money, you know?
But I remember I went up to the parts place at Volkswagen and asked him, I was like, hey, do you have a kit for this? He's like, no. It's a sealed transmission. I was like,
yeah, they had to bring one from Germany.
I was like, what? It's a sealed transmission? Okay.
And after that, you had that. I love that one little car you had, that Acura RSX. That was the most fun. That was it wasn't super fast, but it was zippy and fun. That little car got down.
That's one car that I wish I hadn't sold.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That was a fun little car, and it didn't kill you on maintenance either. It was you drove piss out of it.
I replaced the O2 sensor and a starter.
Yeah.
But that was the only thing I had to do.
A little Acura. Was it a standard? It was a it was a manual transmission too. That was a fun little car to ride around in.
And then after that I had the A5, which was another fun little car to have.
Yeah, I like that A5 a lot.
We were talking about the A5 because my dad bought an S5.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that the other day, where it drives so smooth, and you don't realize how fast you're going until you actually. Like one morning, I was telling him I was going into work. And I was on 225, and I was by myself. This was before Sarah started working with me, and I'm just going in, just driving around. Man, I'm passing everybody. What the hell? I look down. I'm doing well over 100. It's like, oh, I need to slow this thing down a little bit.
Dad told I bought that Honda V65 Magna off that dude, and your dad told me, he goes, you don't need that bike. You don't need that bike. That's too much bike for you. You're not a good enough rider. You don't need that bike. And your dad told me that story. He said, first time I got on one, whoop, whoop, whoop,
through the gears. He goes, I was halfway through third gear, realized I was running 120 miles an hour. I was like, he said, that bike rides too nice. It's a cruiser and it'll make you think.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I think it was about the third or fourth time I rode that V65. I was getting on 610 and I looked down at the speedo and I was doing like 105. And I was like, bro, if you hit a squirrel, you're done. You're done. There's not no amount of bell helmet that's going to fix this. You're done, bro. Like, it wasn't too long after that I sold that V65 Honda because I knew I didn't have enough sense to ride that bike on the daily. And then the other one, I traded that. I originally traded that '68 Bronco I had over in Oak Forest for what the hell was that bike called? A Yamaha VMAX. And I rode that bike once and called that dude back like, no. That thing did a burnout from my driveway all the way past 2 neighbors down the driveway. I never had a bike there. I was like, nope, I ain't got no sense for this. I'll die quick.
Yeah.
You know, I just got married. I can't be riding something like this. This is stupid. I'm gonna die. That VMAX was insane, man. Always, and I actually kind of prefer shaft drive bikes, honestly. Over the years, different ones I've had, the shaft drive bikes have been my favorite bikes. I like the way they handle.
Yeah.
And if I ever have another bike again, it'd probably be a shaft drive, like a Beamer or one of them older Yamahas like I had. Like old 750. I wouldn't mind having me another little XS 750. That was a fun little motorbike. Rode it on the daily for a long time. But remember the A5, and then you sold did you sell the Austin Healey?
The MG, yeah.
The MG.
I finally sold it, yeah.
Yeah.
I sold it to a guy that I actually bought parts for that car from, and he bought it for me from me, and ended up he took the engine out of it and kept the engine and then sold the car.
I know Bert and Ernie had an Austin Healey that you wanted for a long time.
Yeah, so I bought an Austin Healey from him.
Okay, so you did have the Austin Healey for a little while. I remember that because we actually drove that one around a couple times.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was in. They found it in a field, and then he had an engine that we built and shot in the class, and put it in the car. Got it running. And
that dude was making a killing selling cars to kids in high school. No, Bert and Ernie were, boy, you had to watch him coming. I think the whole reason they became shop teachers so they could sell cars and dirt track races. Remember, he used to have y'all work on his dirt track car all the time. Ernie ran dirt track on the weekends. He'd go tear the car all to hell and then bring it in and have the shop kids fix it during the weekend.
Oh yeah, that was the other shop teacher. That was the one that had the dirt track car. The one that the other Mr. Williams,
Bert,
that I worked with, he was an Austin Healey freak.
Yeah, he liked all British.
He liked British cars.
Yeah.
So that's when I got introduced to the Austin Healeys and MGs and Morris Minors and stuff like that.
I love all that stuff though. I do too. As big a guy as I am, I love tiny cars. I'm actually, fingers crossed, y'all. I'm getting Mom's Volkswagen soon. So this is the deal I have worked out. So I got all this. I got all those tools and all that shit over there that's ready for garage sale. And then I got a bunch more stuff in the house, a bunch of nice furniture and some mid-century modern furniture and antique sewing machine, all this kind of stuff. Well, my cousin Ricky loves to do estate sales and buy and sell stuff. That's his thing. That's how he makes a little side money when he's not washing RVs and shit. And he's got big old flatbed trailer and a little pulls all winch and everything. And they drug Mom's Volkswagen out of the woods for me. It's up by the shop now, ready to be loaded up. And I still got to call my cousin Jimmy. I ain't talked to him in a couple months. I got to call Jimmy and arrange a time. But as soon as Ricky just had hernia surgery, so soon he's supposed to be off his limitations like here in a couple weeks. He's going to load up Mom's car. I'm going to go up there and meet him. We're going to load up Mom's car. We're going to bring it here, get it situated over here behind the shop. And then we're going to load him up with all that garage sale stuff. He's going to take all that shit and go sell it and have him a good ass time going through it. But it's good stuff. I mean, there's a lot of value. There's probably $800, $900 worth of shit there, you know. But I just don't have that gene in me that wants to sit there and screw with it. And honestly, I need the space because what I want to do is I'm going to run a wall down the middle of the garage, and I'm going to build that section of the garage out
as a full-time studio.
Yeah.
And I'm going to build a sound booth for Junie because Junie's doing all the singing and shit,
Yeah.
and starting doing some recording. So I'm gonna build a sound booth for Junie with acoustics and mic setup and everything, and it's gonna be a little play because my younger son, y'all know he's autistic. He does certain sounds and shit triggers him, and apparently my other kid's amazing singing is one of those things that triggers him. And so I want to make a space so Junie has his own space to just come out here and record and do the stuff he wants to do and pursue his interest. And I'll use it for some voiceover work or whatever. I actually got a hit recently. Some people actually want me to do some voiceover work, so
awesome.
I'm excited about that. So, but it won't be too long. Maybe in a month I'll have Mom's car here and we'll start going through that car and seeing what's left of it. Maybe one day it'll look like this. I doubt it. It's probably not ever going to look like that, but it's the right color at least.
A man can dream.
A man can dream. A man can dream. I almost bought a little pickup the other day. David, David, he's always coming to me with them deals, and he had a little Dodge Dakota. And
oh, I remember that green one you had.
Oh, I love that little. That was a good ass little truck. That's the one I should have never sold.
Except for the windshield wipers.
Yeah. That little Dodge Dakota I had, I don't know what the hell was wrong with it. Every once in a while, I'd fling a windshield wiper just off into traffic, and I would go buy a replacement and put a new windshield wiper on it, and a month later, it'd be raining hard, going down the road, javeling the windshield wiper off down 45 somewhere. Yeah, I wish I had sold that little Dakota because that little 3.9, I think it was 3.9 Magnum V6 is one of the best V6s I've ever had in a vehicle ever. Yeah. That thing was stout and no problems. Never had to work on it. Never had to do shit to that truck. And I think it had 200 something thousand miles on it when I sold it.
Yeah. Surprisingly reliable for,
Yeah, that was a good ass. Not like my first Dakota, that little 2.2. That thing was a piece of shit. And there's probably some operator error.
Might add a little bit of abuse to it.
Jumping it in the bayou was probably not great for it.
Technicalities.
Oh, I was hard on that damn little Dakota. But a 5-speed, a 2.2 makes almost enough power to have fun. It's like right there. Yes. You're like right on the edge, and you can almost have a good time.
Well, that was kind of like that Ranger, man. It was just enough power to have fun.
Just enough power. You couldn't drive mad in it, but you could have a little fun.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. It's the only thing I like a little Mazda, It's fun, it's a zippy little car. It's actually, I was going to sell it because I got that Mazda so cheap. I was going to flip it, make some money off of it and sell it. And then I drove it out to West Texas and drove around, driving in the foothills and stuff. And I was just having a ball in that little 6-speed. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just keep this little car. I think I'm going to teach Junie how to drive in it. So drive a standard, Because I always, that was the way I was taught to drive was with manual transmission. I'm not one of these people like, ooh, it's a super hidden art. I think you can teach a monkey how to drive a manual transmission in about 5 minutes if you're patient.
Yeah, it's just.
But once you learn how to do that, you can operate equipment. There's not much you can't do. You can ride you know what I mean? You can figure out a motorcycle. You can figure out most things once you learn how to operate a manual transmission. There's not. I'm telling you, if my mom wanted to go to town, there's a backhoe available. She got in a backhoe and went to town. That woman could drive anything. She grew up in that junkyard.
Yeah.
The wrecking yard.
In
fact, when I was little, for a while, she had a 64 Galaxy station wagon. Fairlane, the midsize station wagon. Boy, I wish we had that car still. That would be freaking, I wasn't a station wagon guy growing up. I think it must be getting old, but I'm starting to like them. I've been eyeing them little Dodge Magnum wagons and shit. Like, boy, I wouldn't mind having me a little station wagon,
When those came out, they were kind of hot. I was like,
yeah.
I'm not a big Dodge fan, but I was like, that's kind of a nice little car.
That has served you well. Yeah, I was a Dodge fan for many years, and it's not served me well ever. That damn 3/4 ton Dodge I had, that old 1980.
Yeah.
That thing.
Oh, the brown one?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
The beast. The beast of A-Leaf.
Brakes were advice on it?
The brakes were advice. Yeah, that truck nearly ended me a couple times. That was I eventually flipped it in Wisconsin and crushed the cab in, but it was summertime, so we cut the cab out and I stuck some plywood and some plexiglass in there, and I drove it as a convertible for a little bit until I popped the top off a piston and started smoking pretty bad and making a bunch of racket. I didn't know it was pop top off the piston. I just knew it got noisy.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of oil was blowing by. And I took it over there to some junkyard. I traded it to him for a Mercury Lynx. And then I went back over there to get some parts for the Mercury one day. And he goes, "Boy, you ain't going to believe this. That truck you was driving around, that thing had a piston popped right off the top. It was stuck in the head."
Whoops.
I was just running that thing up and down the road in Wisconsin. Old Rod just clattering in the damn.
I'm surprised it lasts that long.
You turn that radio up, you can't hear Rod. You know.
Yeah, right. What's that rattle? Don't worry about it.
No. That rattle is not audio box, sir. Let me show you.
Check out this song.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
man. It was good times. We was tearing up everything we touched.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean that's
Bet you don't
part
miss
of
that
being young.
Jetta.
Yes and no.
What?
Hear me out. When the Jetta was running,
It was a fun
it was
car.
fun to drive. Because I mean, it just, I mean, it wasn't turbocharged or anything like that, but it was quick, it was agile, and you know, I mean, it's not going to outrun anything on the street, but I mean, it was a fun car
I
to
remember
drive.
one night we were going to go out. And that day we were hanging over at your mom and dad's house, and you were like, we went to AutoZone or O'Reilly's, wherever the shit. And you got all the stuff. You was going to go through the fuel injection. You was going to take the fuel injection rails off, clean out all the fuel injection and all that shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's wrong with it? Oh, nothing's wrong with it. I just think it'd run better if I clean out the fuel injection. I was like, oh, I got to do that. And you tore it all down. You redid all the fuel injection, put it all back together, and that son bitch wouldn't start. And you were mad all night. You're right around that Dodge with me, mad as hell all night. Damn Jetta.
Damn.
The Volkswagen Blues train.
Oh.
You know, they opened up, what's that airfield? Ellington? Down by you?
Yeah.
You know, that's a commissioned base again. Dude, for years, it was decommissioned base. They just did the air shows and shit out there.
Yeah.
Well, they've recommissioned it, and they man about once a week. There's a load of trains going through here with Humvees and shit and everything God's green earth the military might need headed down to that place. It always makes me a little nervous.
Oh,
we're going to start putting this on boxcars next.
we see all the Apaches and Blackhawks and
we saw that new bomber down there the other day.
There was they had one of the drones out there flying. They had the drone with two escorts.
Predator drone.
Yeah, the Predator drone flying over, getting.
That thing's wicked looking, anyways.
Yeah,
it earned its name. I bet people were calling in left and right.
I was just. I think I was on my bike that day, and I heard something. And I looked up, and I saw that there was 3 planes up there, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's something you don't see every day." But then again, we see a lot of unique aircraft out there.
Yeah,
we see the.
Well, they still do all the air shows down there too.
Yeah, they still do air shows.
So, because I took Junie, you know, Junie takes music lessons in Friendswood and on Thursdays, and I was down there one day, and we got in the car to leave, and they were practicing for the air show, and they had the Blue Angels out there. It was cool as shit.
Oh yeah.
I was like, boy, I still remember enough of these airplanes to tell my kid about them, you know.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I know what that is. That, you know. We had a good old time.
Well, it's fun when we're sailing out on the bay, and then they're doing the air show.
Oh yeah.
You can see all the planes and shit like that. You know.
How long you been racing sailboats?
Let's see. When did I start? It was 2000 and.
It was right about the time I started comedy. 2004.
Probably around that time,
yeah.
Yeah. And first time I got on the boat, didn't think it was something I wanted to do until I got on there, and after that I was hooked, man. I don't know what it was about it, but I just I enjoyed the hell out of it. And well, I think I know what it was. And I'm, me being a car guy, but when we motored out and then we'd set the sail and then shut the engine off and we're still cruising, I think that sold it for me every time.
Oh,
It still does today. I mean, I really enjoy that. It's just one of those things that it's like something different, you know?
You got any big races up coming up?
No, we finished with the Icicle series, and then they did Bay Cup one recently. I couldn't go because I don't remember. But yeah, I couldn't make it for the first Bay Cup. But I think they've got. Well, I think they're doing midwinters right now, or it might be coming up. And then there's going to be some races coming out through the year.
In the spring.
Yeah, and then I think April starts the Wednesday night series. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I don't know if Mike's going to have his boat out or whatever.
I'm sure you know enough people. You'd be on some boat somewhere doing something.
Oh yeah, I've already got my other buddy Mark Funk. He's trying to get me to sail with him. So
You know, yeah.
but,
I'll think about you while I'm beating on the roof of a Volkswagen. I'll get them dents out. You know, it's that car, boy, it's in rough shape. We'll see what I can get out of it. But David's got one of them power tools, the whatever it's called, pneumatic.
oh yeah, like the jaws of life.
Yeah, reverse. We're gonna try to unjaw it. Looks like a jaws of life already got to the Sun 50. But I figure if I can get a driver's side door in it, get that jam straightened out, and get a windshield in it, then I got a car and I can figure it out. But
yeah,
I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with it. I'm really sort of leaning towards because the chassis is gone. So me and Dad robbed so many parts off of it. Ain't nothing. Transaxle's gone on. I think transaxle's still there, but that's it. Everything else is gone. So I'm really leaning. And it's a little crazy, but I'm thinking about putting a little 4.6 Ford in it or a little Eco Boost or something and just having fun with it.
Yeah,
just making something kind of crazy and weird, little Volks rod type shit, a little rat rod or something out of it.
Yeah,
it'll keep me busy for a while.
Yeah, it's something fun to play around with.
I managed to talk myself out buying that Dodge from David, so I feel better about that already. And I had somebody else trying to sell me a bullnose Ford right now, and I'm like, I kind of want that bullnose. And I'm like, you ever had good luck with a Ford truck? Why the hell? I love Ford trucks. They don't love me back. They're like Cadillac.
Oh man.
And I still got my eye on. I'm looking for a 65 to 66 Cadillac 4-door. So, just always looking for something to add.
Oh yeah.
To the fleet.
I'm terrible about sitting on marketplace and like, ooh. That looks interesting.
I can afford to do that to myself right now. I can afford that level of misery.
Yeah, that looks painful.
You've had some good ones though. That little S4 was cool, and I like that little Toyota truck, even though you didn't keep it very long. That was a clean machine at Tacoma.
I really love that Toyota truck. The only thing I didn't like about it was the back seat. The back seat where we put Vivian's car seat, because in order to get the back strap on it, you had to pull the seat back, strap it to the hook that was on the bed or the cab, and then you put the seat back. But by the time you put the seat back, you couldn't tighten it up.
Oh yeah. I had that problem with that Z71 the same way when I first started running car seat in it. It was a pain in the ass to get a car seat back up. Yeah. Trucks and car seats don't go together.
No.
Let's where are we at here? Damn it.
About time to wrap it up.
Yeah, man. Moving into an hour 44 here. This brother, I love you, man. Glad you came. This is not we don't get to see each other near often, no. But we have watched each other grow into old men. It's been kind of crazy, right?
From afar.
It's really wild. We've survived it and grown into old men somehow, and both fathers and all the shit nobody thought either one of us was ever going to do. We're doing it all.
I didn't think I was going to
And
make it past
I
18.
got to be honest, I spent Friday in a panic. I was out here working in the yard, and every time my phone went off, I was looking to hear something about your pops, and I just couldn't be happier with that outcome because ornery old Mike is just. I've told them about the time when I was homeless, and he would let me come over and take a shower, and kind of him and your mom looked after me, and it was just old man means a lot to me. He's ornery as hell, but I love him.
Yeah.
Let's do some testimonials, if you will. Some testimonials, some comments from last week's podcast. Let's see, what was that I was even talking about last week? Because these comments do not make sense to me. Oh yes, I was talking about how my family doesn't call the police. Um, at Dave Cooley 2675, agree on all accounts. We don't call 911, we call 811. Nowhere to dig. That is sound advice, sir. You don't want to hit a gas line while you're burying a body.
That is absolutely brilliant.
That's gonna cause some problems. If you shut off everybody's Netflix trying to bury a body, you probably be better off throwing it in the bayou than do that. Yes.
That is brilliant.
If you got to bury something on your property and it ain't none of my business what it is, call 811. Make sure you find out where the lines are located before you start burying shit. At Texasipian, boy, that sounds like a disease. That sounds like something you got to get removed. Got a Texasipian on my neck. It's bothering me. Doctor said it's not cancerous, but still, it's been talking back to me. Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday in Tombstone is the best performance I've ever seen. I could just watch his scenes on a loop and always be mesmerized and entertained. Oh, I was talking. Oh, last week I talked about my trip to Africa, and I talked about watching the Top Gun sequel, Maverick, with a bunch of Navy guys on the Navy base, and they got really emotional. But it's one of my favorite scenes in a movie ever. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
There. So that scene where Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer have that kind of stilted conversation, but Val Kilmer can't really talk. To me, it's some of the best acting I've ever seen out of anybody in Hollywood. Doc Holliday, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely agree.
Tombstone is like my top. It's in my top 5. Tombstone's one of my favorite flicks I've ever seen. I liked the Wyatt Earp movie they made too, but the problem was Dennis Quaid couldn't hold a candle to what the hell Val Kilmer did with Doc Holliday. Dennis Quaid's Doc Holliday wasn't bad, but didn't hold a candle to what Val Kilmer took that role and made it his. It's one of my favorite movies. Not even just Val Kilmer was great in it. Everybody loves Val Kilmer in that movie. But I'm a Kurt Russell diehard, and Kurt Russell was absolutely balls amazing in that movie. I've been trying to grow that mustache for 22 years now, and we're still almost there. That Kurt Russell was just that scene with Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah,
you gonna skin that smoke wagon? You gonna stand there and bleed? And then when he gets old Ike Clanton, my favorite quote in that whole movie is old Ike Clanton when he's "Law don't go around here, law dog. Law don't go around here." I've been saying that shit for 30 years. That's one of my favorite quotes. Law don't go around here, law dog.
Great movie.
Go, yeah. It's one of the top ones. Oh, I cut off your name. At Astounding Results. I hope I got that right. If you like Val Kilmer, a good movie I've seen him in is Red Planet, about being an astronaut that goes to Mars and makes his way back, even better than Jason Bourne actor. Less CGI, but better storyline. Oh, I watched that Mars movie with Matt Damon. That was just damn near unwatchable. That was an epic sit down. I went through 2 joints trying to get through that movie. That was a lot. Yeah.
How many movies are we going to rescue Matt Damon from?
Yeah, and I like old Matt, but that was not the one. He shouldn't have picked that. I have not seen Red Planet. One of my favorite movies of Val Kilmer. I know it's one of your favorites too, because we used to watch it all the time. Is Heat.
Yeah.
Heat is one of my. It's maybe not top 5, but definitely top 10.
But very well made, great characters. I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I looked it up earlier, but the military, the Marine Corps, and I think also the Army Rangers have used scenes from that movie for training. There's the scene where Val Kilmer's character Chris changes his magazine during a shootout is often shown in training as a perfect example of a proper and rapid reload. Uh, they made a big deal because he even bangs the magazine on the bumper of the car
Yeah.
to make sure it's in, and that's a technique. That's an important. That's right up there with Mozambique. You know what I mean? Like Mozambique. Like that's
Somebody in the military told me it was like rack, tap, and bang.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, man.
Something they teach you.
The Marines have used the movie to illustrate how to retreat during a firefight, and the bank robbery scene has been used as an example of how to conduct urban warfare. Yeah. The movie was acknowledged by the Marines in 2002 at MCRD San Diego for accurately conveying how to retreat under fire.
Wow.
That old flick is good.
Yeah.
You got Pacino and De Niro sitting in a diner just racking each other's brain. That scene so good. But that's probably one of my favorite Val Kilmer movies. There was another one. I think it might have been a remake, but it was called The Saint or something like that, where he had all the disguises and he was like a spy. And that was one. I feel like we used to watch that one a lot on repeat back in the day. Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I think I had that on VHS and we watched it all the time.
All right, guys. As always, thank you for sharing part of your Sunday with me. Okay, you got to meet my brother. This guy, I don't know how many times you kept me alive or kept me out of jail, but it feels like it was a lot.
I'm not gonna put a number on things.
Well, if we did, it'd be like 32. Just ballpark. Just ballpark.
Throwing a number out there.
We did. It'd be like 32. Just ballpark. We is all I hope you guys are getting by the obstacles in your life, moving around them like Teflon. I'm rooting for you. I tell you that every week. I'm rooting for you. There's room at the table for everybody. Not this table because it's kind of small, but there's room at other tables for everybody. And I'm rooting for you. You guys root for me. I'm rooting for you. Got some things coming up. If you are in the Central Texas area, I am returning to Bastrop. I've not been back in a couple of years. I'm returning to Headline Film Alley in Bastrop at the end of March. If you're in the Denver or Colorado Springs area, I'm going to be up there in June. If you're in San Antonio, this is kind of wild. I just picked up, I'm going to come to San Antonio July 18th and 19th. I'm doing 2 nights at the Upstage Comedy Lounge there. But we're also going to do a little promo. We're going to do a car show before. So a buddy of mine owns Arctic 8 frozen desserts. It's like an ice cream shop right there by the comedy club. He does a great many things for the community of San Antonio. He does all kinds of stuff for the zoo. They had a Hot Wheels show out there. Oh, I need to tell y'all about the Hot Wheels stuff. They had a diecast collectors show out there. So I think what we're going to do, I've talked to RJ Witcher about it. When I go out there in July, we're going to have a little meet and greet at the ice cream shop. Won't cost you nothing to get in, but you can bring your hot rod, your pickups, whatever you got, whatever automobile you got that tickles your fancy. And we'll have a little impromptu car show, and you don't got to do anything. But if you buy some ice cream off my buddy, I'd appreciate it because he's a good man. RJ Witcher's the guy that started the Cigars for Warriors charity project, and he maintains it, and he sends cigars and care packages to soldiers all over the world, serving on every continent. And he's just a fine human being. So we may give him a little boost in business for the day. Not that he needs it, but I'm looking forward to that. Also, it's going to be coming out soon. I was a guest on the Diecast Breakdown podcast, where I learned about a really fun thing they're doing. I can't remember the name of it. I should have looked it up before I told you guys about it. But it's a little charity event they do every year in October, where they donate diecast cars to food banks and charities. It's just the perfect toy for a kid. You don't need anything but a diecast car and some dirt or some concrete to play and have a good time. And there's a lot of little kids that just don't have a whole lot of nothing. And last year they raised 25,000 cars, I think, all over the world. People donated on this day. And I'm going to participate in this year. And every time we've been going to the grocery store, Rachel's been having my youngest boy pick out a car to go for this. And of course, they have to be packaged and everything. And we're going to go October 15th. We're going to see how many die-cast cars we can get for. It just touched me. It just touched me as just honestly just a good thing to do, and it's something that's right along my lines. So we're gonna get involved in that, and I hope some of you will get involved with me, or maybe I don't need you to send me cars, just wherever your local place is, and we'll find a list of places that'll take them. I think right now we're kind of leaning towards United Way. Because it's one of the less problematic charities. You all do Goodwill or Salvation Army because they got some issues, So we're trying to find a good one that we feel good about dealing with, and we're going to try to raise some die-cast cars for some kids. It's just like there's not a better toy, to give a kid. All you need is imagination and one die-cast car. If you got two, holy shit, you're running the world, man.
Yeah.
I spent a good portion of my childhood. I still have some of my favorites up here from my childhood. That was the thing me and my Uncle Bobby did, was we collected die-cast cars together, and means a lot to me. And y'all know I'm involved with Hot Wheels, and hopefully, early word is I'm gonna be judging at the Hot Wheels Legends Tour again this year. So I'm really looking forward to that, and possibly doing some more stuff with Hot Wheels in the future. Thank you guys again. I love you. And I'm JW.
Digging through the past is not that hard. Just scars and broken shards. Mining memories in an old wrecking yard. Echoes of laughter, whispers of pain.
Give me one more.
Time stands still, the memories remain.
Hell yeah, that was good stuff on my leg. You always need another one. Love you, Bubba. Be careful going home. Text me when you get home.
In an old wrecking yard.